Hello everyone and welcome back to The Little Quilter. Today I'm giving you an update on the Starstruck 2 pattern that I have been working on. I have done, I don't even know how many half square triangles, but 60 star blocks with this many half square triangles is out of control. Oh my gosh, this took forever, a lot longer than I expected it to, honestly. And really it just comes down to all of those half square triangles, cutting them, squaring them up, sewing them together, ironing them, all of that. And so it was very easy sewing, but it was just very tedious whenever you've got to do, this many. But they're all done and they're really fun. Now, I did have to change my plan because in this pattern, you can see that this accent block right here is this striped. And I did plan on doing more than I needed of these, but I actually didn't end up doing that because one of the colors was this. And so I would have just had like a block with the accent star. It would have been way too much of this pattern. So I didn't do that. I also had cut for the star block this pattern, so the background pattern, and I didn't want to do that either because that would just, well, then you'd just have done a really intricate way to make a snowball block. So I didn't do that, but I did the rest of the colors and I've got them here. They're all kind of jumbled up. My plan is to, whenever I lay this out, to do it very kind of super scrappy, not think about it too much, but also, you guys know I like a curated scrappy, so I don't want the same colors to be touching each other, but I've got them all kind of laid out just to give me a sort of better play on and hopefully make it faster for when I do finally lay this out. So what's next? The next part is the snowball block, and that is literally just taking these and doing our corners on the edge, which I don't think is going to take as long as before because there's not any really squaring up that I have to do, which is excellent. Just a lot of corners and sort of then cutting those. But it'll go pretty fast, and then I'll be ready to put the actual quilt top together, which is really exciting. And, I've been doing a lot of other projects, honestly. So last month we went on vacation to Scotland for a week, and it was so much fun. We enjoyed it a lot. It was for my daughter's birthday, and it was a lot of fun and we enjoyed it, but I didn't do any quilting that week. And then when we got back, it's starting to hit that springtime, and I really want to put up a greenhouse in our backyard. And so I've been digging a little mini foundation. I just don't want it to blow away. So it's not necessarily a permanent structure, but I don't feel comfortable just like screwing it into the ground. So I've been doing that, and that has taken a lot of time and a lot of planning for myself. But I have still been working on the pas de deux quilt. I have still been working on these star blocks over here. So I'm excited to move forward with this and excited to keep getting videos out for you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to get them out a little bit more consistently, but summertime, springtime, all of this, I've got so many projects going on, as well as in the living room, still working on renovating that and getting a slat wall up, which has been a lot of fun and also very interesting. So multiple things happening around the house in the little bit of free time that I have. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into making these snowball blocks and see if we can get this done. Okay, everybody, I have finally done it. Finally finished all of the snowball blocks that we have here. So in all of the colors, I think there were, a lot of them have duplicates, so where we have the same pattern snowball, but there are some that are just single only, just because there were more fabrics than I had, than I needed. So I only needed 60 of these. Then I've got back here all 60 of the star blocks, which is excellent as well. So with these two, now I can lay out the pattern and we can get to working on this quilt top and getting it finished. I feel like it's taken forever to get here, but we're finally here, so let's get it done. Okay, everybody, so as you can see behind me, the quilt is finally done. I got all of the snowball blocks and all the star blocks put together. I did do it pretty randomly, didn't really think about how I was laying it out. Did try to keep things from, being exactly close together, but there wasn't really a plan to it. There is kind of a pattern design in the book, but that just looked really tedious to follow, honestly, so I did not do that. I just kind of let it go the way that it seemed to flow and then moved a few blocks around as needed. The border fabric that I used was this fabric right here, and I did extend it out. It called for like a 4.5-inch border, and I went ahead and did a 5-inch border. I just thought it looked a little better that way, and also it gives me the option to play with the size of the border anyways whenever I go to quilt it. So I can sort of, you know, use the sides of it to sort of hold down whenever I quilt around it, and I can make the border as big or little as I want. My goal there being that sometimes when I do the border designs on the long arm, I tend to go all the way to the edge of it. So like if this is my border design, I will take that design all the way to the edge, and then I do the binding and cut it off. So my hope with making this a little bit larger than what it's supposed to be would be when I design this, I can account for that ledge, maybe go ahead and, you know, stitch it down on the edge to hold the quilt in place, and then kind of give myself another line to follow. If this is where I will be putting the binding on of the quilt whenever I'm finished. So that's my thought process. We'll see how it goes once I finally get to actually designing this quilt. I did take a picture and I am going to look at designing it. Let me know what you guys think as far as designs. Should I do an all over pattern? I haven't done a pantograph pattern in a while, and I could definitely try some of those other ideas that some people had about doing the pantograph, where I like to draw the pantograph on the front of the quilt using the design from the back and then come up to the front and actually do the quilting. I just felt like whenever I did pantograph quilting from behind, it was not as attractive as if I sort of stenciled it out and then did it from the front. It just gave me an ability to know where my eye was going whenever I was quilting to make it look better. So I could try that design on here, or I could do another kind of fun design similar to the Kite in a Square quilt, where I do pretty much the same design on every block except for a few of those. But this time I have, you know, obviously differing blocks here. So I'm not quite sure. You guys let me know what you think. I do think it needs to be a little bit more traditional because I do feel like this fabric pattern is very traditional. So the last thing I just wanted to go over was that this is the Lella Boutique Starstruck 2 pattern, and this is the little booklet that I used. I do think you can purchase the pattern. I'm not sure about the actual fabric itself because this is a very old line. I am excited that I have finally finished the oldest quilt kit that I have had. I've been holding on to this quilt kit for quite some time, and it's nice to know that that one is done off of the checklist. Of course, now all I gotta do is quilt it. So, as always, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, stuck with me through all of the star blocks, and I hope to see you guys again in the next one. Have a great day.